Every good game has its magnum opus, the pinnacle of what it has to offer, whether that be through an epic showdown, a stunning view, a twist in a story, or a culmination of things. Good games are able to nail one of these, but great games have multiple. A game that is able to go beyond expectations over and over again. A game that, despite being replayed multiple times, still somehow manages to contain some of its magic. Of course, the game in question I am referring to is none other than Super Mario Galaxy. Up until Galaxy's release, the platformer had always been considered a lighthearted experience. Crash Bandicoot, Mario, Spyro, Banjo-Kazooie. No game before Galaxy had ever tried to take a more serious approach. If you were a game developer at the time developing a 3D platformer with animated characters, what would have been the atmosphere for your game? I'd assume a goofy approach, as creating a heavy atmosphere with cartoony characters probably isn't the easiest endeavor. Especially in the mid-2000s, because graphics definitely weren't at its peak at that point. When developing Mario games, at their core, they were just fun adventure games. For this one, however, they decided to take it one step further. They wanted to make a Mario adventure that would leave the player in awe. Here's a quote from the Iwata Ask series, where Mr. Iwata would ask different development teams at Nintendo about the games they worked on. Quote, "At heart, Mario games are cool adventure games, and particularly this time around with the theme of the game being a dramatic action adventure where Mario travels through space, using an orchestra emphasizes its grand scale. We now have theme music that is dramatically different from what you have heard in other Mario games." Mahito Yokota, composer of Mario Galaxy. This focus on a grand adventure opened many new avenues that really showed up in the final product. Like mentioned in the quote, the soundtrack really benefited from this change in scope. Using an orchestra allowed for them to match the grand feel they were going for. As well, the game's theming of space adds to that wondrous feeling of nothing being out of the question. This space aesthetic allowed the Galaxy team to add things they had never attempted before. The introduction of gravity allowed for some elaborate physics-based platforming. This, in combination with spherical walking, created planets of all different shapes. The ability to have multiple planet strings one after another for players to explore is such a wondrous feeling. Getting slung out of a launch star with only space encompassing the player, with bombastic music playing, then only to end up in a totally new area leads to an amazing occurrence of adrenaline rushing through your blood. Galaxy is at its height when moments like this are achieved. Good Egg Galaxy, Gusty Garden Galaxy, Battlerock Galaxy, even Toy Time Galaxy to an extent, all resemble Galaxy at its peak. Even the more open-ended levels, while taking a more calming, slower-paced ideal, all have a heightened sense of discovery. While not containing the exhilarating rush levels like Battlerock may have, provide a break from the more neck-breaking levels. Space Junk Galaxy, while not open-ended like Honey Hive or Beach Bowl, provides the most calming atmosphere of all. Despite its name, when I think of the word space, this galaxy comes to mind. The serene music playing, accompanied by the nothingness of space, create a really gentle level to just feel your way through. Except for the giant spider boss fight, but we don't mention that. Probably my favorite level would have to be Buoy Base Galaxy. Climbing the tower with its epic music and moving platforms make me imagine as if I'm trying to invade some sort of secret facility. When first playing this back in 2008, the amazement I felt when I first found the green star under the level, something that still hasn't been matched to this day. That sense of wonder was so extraordinary, especially when I saw the green star launcher for the first time. I know it sounds silly, but this is such a fond memory that I cherish. Wonder is the word that describes Galaxy. Rosalina was such a mysterious character. I mean, to any kid, Rosalina was something special. How she left home to help a lost Luma find her own home. The storybook tells about the hardships they experienced in the building of the observatory to house all the lost Lumas. The theming of it was, family is whatever you make of it. While relatively simple, it still left me in fascination, especially back in 2008. The oversized star-looking thing, Lubba, was definitely a step down in this regard in its sequel. The Comet Observatory is another wondrous place. As a hub world, it's a solid area. I love how the observatory slowly powers up as the game progresses. The music increases as the ship powers up until it reaches its max when the ship is back in working order. The Lumas flying around, the different domes, it all makes for such a relaxing place to just jump around in, especially after unlocking the red power-up. This allows for the player to just fly all around the Comet Observatory. It has no other use than to be a distraction, and I'm a big fan of time wasters. Now, Galaxy has a wide variety of levels to choose from as already established. The first mission of a Galaxy can definitely be a highlight on its own. These missions are where the level design peaks. The best concepts of a Galaxy is thrown into the stage, and it creates something really entertaining. For instance, Toy Time Galaxy has the player at first simply undoing screws to progress to the next area. Then by the end, the player is faced with taking out a giant metal Bowser. By unscrewing the screws, you were able to demolish the giant robot and then get to watch it explode. Galaxy's design philosophy can be insanely well refined with its concepts it comes up with. Some of the other missions are boss battles. These are some great bosses. Though many are short-lived, something that is fixed in the sequel, the tension of these are still really good. The fight with Bugaboom I always found to be a good one. The first 2 hits are easy, but the last one was always a challenge. Trying to nail a ground pound with Bugaboom turning in the air sideways was always a hard one. The main core missions can all be really satisfying to complete, though none of them are very challenging. Due to the gravity mechanic, in a lot of instances, dying to a bottomless pit isn't possible. Sure, there are still many instances where it can still happen, but half the time that ability is taken away. Though the gravity mechanic allowed for some great design and novel concepts, it took away some of the challenge. Was this a worthwhile trade? That question differs from person to person. For me, this was a worthwhile trade. However, the difficulty still has another issue. There are coins littered throughout the levels that allow the player to heal. Being able to heal should be a reward for completing a difficult task, not every couple of moments. This of course makes the challenge very minimal, as being able to heal whenever you want gets rid of all the danger. I feel the reason for this was for the casual audience of the Wii. They wanted the casual audience not to feel left out. If the casuals felt it was too difficult, the main target audience of the Wii, they were going to miss a huge opportunity. Now, why is a lack of challenge inherently a bad thing? I mean, the lack of challenge paved the way for excellent level design. Why do I feel harder levels would be a good idea? It all comes down to personal preference, but this is how I see it. With a game like Mario Odyssey, the game lets you explore a variety of locations with different things to discover. Is Odyssey hard? Not even close. Probably the easiest game in the series. Why do I still find Odyssey engaging to play then? Well, Odyssey's open-ended level structure lent itself to an amazing feeling of exploration. The sense of wonder in a different sense from Galaxy is in Odyssey. Checking every crevice, every corner for secrets is what makes Odyssey such a blast. In contrast, Galaxy's sense of wonder came from its ambiguous galaxies, not knowing what lied ahead. This is key to note the difference, as due to Galaxy's linear structure, without as much of a challenge in a linear game, this makes the game feel in some sections not as grand as it could have been. The Galaxy development team wanted to make this epic Mario adventure, and in large part they succeeded due to the reasonings mentioned earlier. But without that hard obstacle to overcome, it sort of makes the outcome less dramatic. For Odyssey, the key wasn't to be a grand adventure, but to be a satisfying open world sandbox. Now, note a while back before this tangent began, I said this applies to the main core missions of Galaxy. This does not apply to the comets that appear. The comets are random remix challenges that appear on certain levels. There are 5 different types of comets. The speedy comet requires the player to finish a level in a certain time limit. Next, the fast fill comet speeds up existing levels to a faster speed. The Cosmic Clone Comet is a race to the finish line against a fellow Cosmic Clone. The Daredevil Comet requires the player to beat a challenge with only 1 hit point. And then, the Purple Comet makes the player collect 100 purple coins either under a tight timer or just in general. The Speedy Comets aren't very difficult. The timer tied to them tend to be very lenient. The Fast Fill Comets provide a bit of challenge, however there are only 2 available. The Cosmic Clone Comets, while not very hard, I find exhilarating. Oddly, the Luigi versions of these comets are much harder, which is really odd but appreciated. I assume it may be because Luigi can run faster and therefore the Cosmic Clone version can, but I don't know. The Daredevil comets provide a really good bit of challenge, and then the Purple comets are entirely hit or miss. The issue with some of the Purple Coin comets are some are really easy, Some of them are very tedious, and some of them hit that sweet spot. This inconsistency is really heartbreaking, as these comets could have serviced for the core fans that really wanted to test their skills. Instead, they feel more or less like filler added in to buff up the star count, which is a real shame too, because some of these comets I found really fun. Overall, the challenge of Galaxy was sacrificed for better level design and for the sake of the casual audience. To me, on the first playthrough it has very little meaning, but on repeat ones, having some more difficult levels would be appreciated. It doesn't ruin the game by any means. The unique level design I feel makes up for it even, just the lost potential hurts. I wonder if they would have addressed it in a sequel. Though the challenge aspect of Galaxy wasn't the team's #1 priority, the look and feel of the game was obviously up there. This game looks good to this day on the Wii, and the 3D All-Stars version looks almost like a current Switch game in HD. Obviously, making a game look good is a priority for any game, but for Galaxy I feel it especially had to. To have that epic adventure the team wanted to create, the graphics need to be on point so it can resonate with people much more easily. The cinematics of this game really proves this point. The opening and ending cutscenes look for the most part really solid to this day. They're very expressive and evoke a lot of emotion. The opening really sets the stage for what is to be expected for the game's duration. The color choices, camera angles, sound design, and overall high quality animations that was put into this really proves how this game is different from any other platformer preceding it. Mario getting launched off the castle by Kamek and into space with this incredible camera work rotation here really leaves an impact on me every time I see it. Kamek's beam swirls in the air and just goes BAM and it blasts Mario into the unknown. Then that ending, oh man. Mario soars through the air catching Peach, leaving Bowser to burn with his own creation. But then a black hole is triggered and everything's about to get sucked in until all the Lumas come in and stop the catastrophe from occurring. Instead, the whole universe is reset and reborn as something new. Did I mention this is a Mario game? Simply amazing the first time I saw it. Compare the universe getting reset to Peach thinking she gave birth to a turtle.
Mama, Peach! I'm your mama?
Now, some of the most understated cinematics of the game are the ones during gameplay, where Mario would get shot out of a launch star and the volcano would explode behind him. Vibrant colors would just pop off the screen as he soared through the air. Moments like these are thrown in between the moment-to-moment gameplay, and as such, makes them very memorable. These cinematic moments really describe the impact Galaxy has made on so many different people. So with the look of the game out of the way, how about the feel of it? The controls of Galaxy are simplicity done to perfection. Mario's moveset in this outing is much more limited than any other 3D Mario game preceding it. 64 and Sunshine both had a lot of different moves that made exploring an open 3D space a gratifying experience. The open sandbox style approach of platforming allows for many instances of different moves needing to be used. The developers can't plan exactly how a player is going to get to a certain area. They can sort of guide the player to a direction, but multiple solutions can normally be used to get to an end result. These multiple pathways may lead to some unintended maneuvers that developers didn't intend to happen, and as such may lead to a compromised experience. Here's an example. In Super Mario 64, if you wanted to grab the wall kicks for Work Star and Cool Mountain, the intended way is to go to this pink bomb, open the cannon, go inside the cannon, make a very scary launch, platform across the narrow ledge, then do a couple wall kicks to reach the star. However, if you just jump off the side from right here, you can skip almost all the work and grab the star. In the player's point of view, this is rewarding and satisfying because they beat out the developers. In the developers' eye, however, the challenge they had set up had been compromised. While player freedom was a huge part of Mario 64, several linear challenges of going A to B to C to D were set up to create a challenge for the player to conquer. These more linear challenges in Mario 64 can't really be skipped in any fashionable way. Now going back to Galaxy, the linear set pathway of the levels ensures no compromises may happen, and the players have to complete each challenge as intended. The more limited moveset fits this well and accompanies the game nicely. You can jump, long jump, crouch, backflip, side flip, double jump, triple jump, ground pound, homing ground pound, have a dance break, and the newly added spin move. This move allows for the player to spin to attack enemies, break open crystals, swim faster, etc. Spinning on the Wii forced the use of motion controls, or shaking the Wii remote. This use of shaking the Wii remote felt oddly natural to me, like it was just another button. I don't think I've heard anyone else say this, but the shaking element made me feel more involved with the gameplay. For the 3D All-Stars version, it's not mandatory anymore, which for those who did find it annoying is a plus. The added spin ability is definitely a welcome addition for casuals and more core players. While it can be used to easily kill enemies when jumping is too much of a hassle to deal with for casuals, the spin move can also be used to make platforming longer gaps much more exciting for experienced players. Additionally, spinning has the added benefit of being an extra crutch to rely on in a do-or-die situation. While obviously not as big of a crutch as Flood was, the spin is still definitely a welcome addition. As well, another motion control related thing was the on-screen pointer. The Wii remote is pointed at the Wii sensor bar to collect star bits on screen. You'd think this would be a horrible mix, collecting star bits while simultaneously trying to platform, but really it isn't. My brain just sort of mindlessly would wave around the Wii remote for star bits, so it was never really an issue. If you had the sensor bar in a bad place though, I could definitely see some frustration coming out of that. The star bits that are collected are used to defeat these hungry Lumas to unlock extra stages. This leads to a meaningful reward for collecting a bunch of star bits. The little sound effect that would come out of the Wii remote every time one was collected was such a great feeling. There's also a 2-player option for co-op multiplayer, but to be honest, unless you're playing with a casual friend, it isn't the most entertaining option. One point a lot of people have pointed out is Galaxy's lack of a post-game. Now here's a question for everyone. Does a game that already feels satisfying to beat on its own need a post-game? After collecting 60 stars and fighting Bowser, all that's unlocked are the purple comets after the credits. I think many people see so many games to this day that offer a large post-game afterwards. But why? I think a lot of games feel the need to add a post-game to try and justify their game's price. It is much easier to develop a post-game that involves doing random arbitrary tasks than it is to develop a main campaign. In Odyssey, the game locked so many moons behind the credits that could have easily just been placed during the game for no necessary reason other than to prolong the runtime. The Mushroom Kingdom, Dark Side, and Darker Sides of the Moon all offer tons of challenges to do, but a lot of it's just filler or remix stages. Now while I don't necessarily view this as a bad thing, I wouldn't feel hurt if these repeat stages weren't in the game in the first place. Galaxy offers almost everything it has to do before the credits besides the purple comets. About 14 stars and 100% completion stars locked behind the credits, and half of them have more challenge to them than any other star in the game, so it's an extra challenge to players that want it. Given that the purple comets are just repeat stages with an extra objective on top of them, Galaxy is a game that every world can be seen before you go and fight Bowser. And in my opinion, I think that's a good thing. Locking levels that could have just been placed in the main campaign really just doesn't make any sense to me. I would have liked the purple comets to be available before the credits, but alas, that's what the industry has been doing. Speaking of the 100% reward, this is easily one of the dumbest things I've seen. You collect all 120 stars, ready to see what happens next. You beat Bowser and the credits roll. A cool cinematic plays of Rosalina leaving in the Comet Observatory. It then says at the end you can now play the entire game as Luigi. This is a cool little thing they added, but if you want the true reward, get ready to play the entire game all over again. To receive the true final challenge, you 100% the game twice. And what do you get? The opening area with purple coins, no epic final showdown or try-hard final level. A 2-minute romp in a level you can already walk around in every time you start up a new file. Oh, and don't forget the pictures, Sunshine understands that well. The reward should match the work put in, and to 100% a game twice deserves a lot more than, well, this. Despite that final reward, Galaxy's memorability is astonishing. So many of its concepts are unique in so many ways, even to its sequel. The gravity mechanics are one of a kind. It's the one thing I wish they took even farther in Galaxy 2. That game had a stronger emphasis on level design than the gravity mechanic. It led to some great levels, no doubt, but it missed some of the charm of the original. The spherical planets, black space backgrounds, its grand feeling gave Galaxy a one-of-a-kind feeling. Nintendo ensured that by Galaxy 2 taking a different approach to the space formula, Galaxy 1 could never be replaced. I guess you could say I slightly prefer the first Galaxy. You can call me stupid because in basically every category, its sequel outclasses its predecessor, but that's just the magic of Galaxy 1. I just hope that someday, in due course, The wondrous feeling of blasting off into the unknown has a chance to be relived as a whole new adventure.